Oh, I love it.
Can't stop. Won't stop.
Oh, 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 oh.
Welcome into the Random Noise Show. Hope everyone is doing well. Going to come at you with a Superflex Rookie Mock. Being joined by, you might notice as the Scouts, better known as the Kamikaze Dynasty League, coming at you. Myself, Robby, at J Mike Check, Dwight, the Butcher, bringing Alice the Meat, and three-time big timer, Carl Jr., David Berger.
Hello.
Boys, how we doing?
Listen, I think more than anything, I'm excited for the Society of the Collegiate Opinions on Underclassmen and Talented Seniors to be reunited. It's a great day for the Scouts. It's a great day to have the crew back together. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, I doubt anybody's doing as good as Robby, man. Robby, you still hungover?
Still rocking that one team. Still rocking. I don't know if I've changed shirts in the last 48 hours. It's just, what day is it?
I don't know, man. Hell of a game. Hell of a comeback. So
This is great. Oh, man.
Yeah, all-time classic
roller
game
coaster.
for sure.
Roller coaster, guys. Absolutely.
We are all rock chalk, almost all of us, except for the Spartan and the Trojan and the Wildcat and the Nittany Lion. Everybody else.
Everybody else, though.
Today. Oh man, I'm excited about this evening. Who's Robby? Did you want me to set the stage, or did you all want to?
Yeah. If you would be so kind, set the stage for us.
Outstanding. So we get to have a little fun this evening. We're going to walk through a mock of sorts, mock draft. There's only 5 of us, so we're going to have 5 picks. Or 5 picks, golly. We're going to go through about 20 picks. And as we go through it, it'll be similar to, obviously, your typical leagues. We're going to talk about players. We're going to talk about maybe even who our QB1 is, who our RB1 is, our receiver 1, maybe have a little bit of banter back and forth. But anytime the Scouts are together, you know that you're going to have fun. You'll laugh a lot. You might get a little bit of information, but more than anything, we're going to have fun. So with that said, I don't think that anyone deserves the 101 more than Mr. Rock Chalk himself, Robby Jeffries. And even we'll just go in the order on the screen. So essentially, Robby will have the 101 of sorts. Cody will have the 102. I'll take the 103. We'll kind of, not really a snake draft, but on the screen. Dwight will have the 104. Berg will have the 105. To give you plenty of time to figure out who you're going to take, Berg. So go ahead and think about it now.
I like it. I need the time. I'm excited to be here. I know you guys have been grinding the tape more than I have. You've crunched the numbers, and I'm sitting here amongst some of the brightest minds in the fantasy space. And I don't say that to be funny or in jest. I wholeheartedly mean it. Everyone that I'm on here with. From everything that Cody and Robby do at TFA to J Mike with the Hoot Nannies, Dwight has been on these guys from the beginning with all his Debbie stuff and all reputable brands. This is I am the weak leg here. The if this was a table, this is the leg you gotta maybe prop up with some magazines underneath to get it level. But I think if people are looking for some great rookie information, they're gonna get it right now.
We had to lie to Berg and tell him that this was a tennis mock in order to get him to come on.
I live in the tennis streets these days. I'm a big tennis guy.
Why can't I see Guillermo Monfils anywhere on this list?
I love that you just made. mention Monfils. It's amazing.
I got you, bro. I got you. Listen, before we even get to the mock, though, I would love to hear when it comes to this class overall. Cody, kick us off in terms of your thoughts. Do you feel like it's as bad as people have said? Are you feeling pretty decent about this coming into rookie season? We're a little bit less than a month out from the rookie draft. How are you feeling about the class overall?
I hate to give such like a non-answer, but I really feel like the NFL draft, is going to set the stage. Like, we have no consensus now. It seems like everyone's all over the place with the picks. Like, I don't remember, and I feel like we say this every year, but I truly don't remember a year like this where it's just like truly up in the air. So I think that the NFL draft is going to kind of cement things for us, and that'll kind of tell if we get guys who fall, we get guys who rise. You know, your Tutu Atwells of the world and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think this is what always happens. Like, we hype classes up for so long. Like, it was like, hey, just wait till, listen. I know we're in the 2019 draft. Wait till 2022. Holy shit.
Get
And then
those
we finally
2023
get
get
here,
those
and
2023 picks.
Hope you didn't sell your 2022s. It's what happens every year. But I think that the NFL draft is gonna set things straight for us.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Dwight, you literally talk to new people every day about this class. Surely you have an opinion as to how you feel about the strength of the class, the gyms, all those things. Just tell us about your overall feel so far.
Yeah, it's other than wide receivers, it's just kind of missing a superstars. You know, the quarterbacks they're all right, but we don't have any Trevor Lawrences. We don't have any Justin Herberts, any Patrick Mahomes. You know, we have a couple guys that could be decent quarterbacks in the NFL. They got the wild card in Malik Willis. You know, as whether he can be truly dynamic, it's to be seen. And as far as running backs, you know, you got a couple decent guys at the top, but once again, nobody that's going to challenge like Jonathan Taylor at the top of the class. The wide receivers are pretty deep, and I like the first couple guys. So the defensive players, this defensive draft is ridiculous. It's a very, very good defensive draft. So, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about Bruno, so it's all right.
We don't talk about defense. No.
Exactly.
Robby, thoughts?
Yeah, I think I try and take the optimistic view where the last couple of years we've had such a stacked class, right, that have come out in terms of draft capital, in terms of hype, and just for such a long time you've heard about how down this class is, and I try and look at it as glass half full, where it's just more unknowns, right? It's not like we've heard these guys and they've stayed consistent from freshman year to they've come out as an early declare, right? We are the talented seniors. That's the end of the scouts, right? There's a lot of talented seniors. Yes, Kev Steele, absolutely love the J Mike sweetness. And that's why I think that people might be down in this class, because they're not a ton of early declares, and they're not guys that have been rocking. They've taken their junior and senior year to hit this level. But I do think there's the wide receiver class, like we've said, super deep, and I compare it to a lot of these classes beforehand as being just as strong. Maybe not just having that upper ceiling that we had with the Chase and Waddle, but I'm excited.
Good deal. Bert, we'll have you have the last word here before we get into the mock. Obviously, you've been able to take in opinions from all around, and you're still forming a lot of your own when it comes to the rookie class. Right now, with where you stand, with wherever you're feeling comfortable, what are your thoughts right now as someone who's still doing the work of where they stand on a lot of these players?
Yeah, I would say that for me, this class is a great buy low opportunity. I mean, these guys are going to go into the NFL and score fantasy points, and I think that kind of gets lost in the sauce a little bit when, it's like one thing to be like, oh, this class isn't as good as others, but, there are still going to be guys that score touchdowns and have a lot of catches and perform on Sunday. I think, where this class might, if we're talking from a fantasy strategy perspective, I think where this class might bring a lot of value is like in an auction draft where you can kind of like gobble up, maybe like 7 or 8 of these guys for cheap, and maybe 3 or 4 of those guys hit for you. Pick wise, that's a little bit a little bit dicey. I feel like, but in like thinking back a couple years ago, Michael Pittman's class, I think I grabbed like a baker's dozen of guys, and I was pretty happy with who I came out with in the Pigs 2 format, which is just kind of a free for all auction. So yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely some opportunities. It's like it's all a matter of how you play. Is if they don't present, take advantage of the depleted low class talk, because there are going to be guys that hit.
Yeah. And Berg, you bring up such an amazing point. I'm so glad you did. This will be one of those seasons, and we haven't had it for a few. This is going to be one of those seasons that's going to be so unique from league to league. Someone, in each draft, you're going to have a George Pickens guy. So you have to identify that person and make sure that if that's someone that you want, that you maneuver them well. Someone's going to be a Drake London guy. There are probably several Drake London guys in your drafts. And when it comes to these quarterbacks, they're all over the place too. But Malik Willis has had a rocket pack strapped to his back, and it's to the moon essentially. So a lot of these first rounds especially are going to be all over the place in terms of where we see players go. So I think that the uniqueness from league to league is going to be so much fun to navigate, which now brings us into the mock tonight, because I've been able to hear a lot of your all's opinions on your various platforms. And obviously we chat about things all year long in our special little chat there. But now here we are, scouts here to mock it up. So Robby, rock chalk, one team, very little sleep over the last 18 hours or so, 18 hours or so. Where do we begin with the 101? And let's just say that this is, we'll throw it out, 12 team, super flex, all the bells and whistles, just to make it tight end premium. What else am I forgetting, guys?
I think you hit
it. No, I'm just kidding. No, just kidding.
How dare you?
You've offended
one rule.
Already. Good dude.
One rule.
Let's just say it's a 10 team. Come on, well, that'll work. That way we got even numbers. There you go.
Yep.
Anyway, get out of here. What do you got, Robby?
Yeah. So I kind of want to turn this into a quick conversation, because I think the 101, a lot of people will just go Breece Hall and we'll move to 102. I mean, Kev's already said it here in the chat, and that is the way I lean as a guy who's like Breece Hall from before the combine, where he reached new elite level status unseen before, right? But I want to have a conversation, because we see the fantasy community kind of go back and forth between taking that stud running back and you get that immediate production that doesn't last as long, versus taking the stud wide receiver. And I think we have a handful of guys, we can each take our pick. If you have a roster where that wide receiver need is a little bit more, do you guys feel like we can actually take your top wide receiver, whether that be, London, Burks, Wilson, whoever? I get it that we'd have Hall and we'd probably maybe trade back or something like that. But how do you guys feel in the running back versus wide receiver conversation of longevity of wide receiver versus, hey, the instant production of running back? That's to anyone.
Yeah, I think without knowing the landing spots of the wide receivers, I'm going running back here. I take Hall over the big three, as I call them, the London, Burks, and Wilson, which I like all of them a lot, but I think they're separated by just a sliver as far as my rankings, and I want to see where they land. If you're doing this before the draft, you don't know landing spots, it's Hall. I mean, I think it's Hall, and I think there's a very legitimate case to be made for Willis too, because of the sheer value in a super flex league of somebody who carries that name weight. So I think you take Hall over this after the draft. I mean, if one of these guys ends up with Kansas City or Green Bay, then I would take a wide receiver over Hall, I think.
That's a great point. I'm going to jump in, because I think that's a really good chance that happens, right? We have two really good landing spots for wide receivers that are wide open, especially with both of them having double dips in the first round, right?
Right.
So if we go under the assumption that one of these top three, maybe it's an Olave or a Pickens or someone a little bit farther down, I don't know. I feel like that's worth the conversation for the right roster and the longevity of playing with Patrick Mahomes, maybe not as much with an Aaron Rodgers. It's worth the conversation for that moving. And I know we're doing this pre-draft, but I just don't want to do the, hey, Breece Hall 101 next pick. So anybody else have thoughts on that?
Well, I would say you only have to think as far back as like Corey Davis, Christian McCaffrey draft class. I mean, once Davis went to the Titans and Mariota, people were very hot on him being the number one pick over McCaffrey. So I mean, I think that my fear though is overthinking it. I feel like these top guys, there's a lot of like thought of what you could do, trade down. I'm going to take this guy, quarterback. I'm going to go quarterback. Most years you would go quarterback. I would just, buyer beware on overthinking, and just get the guys that are going to hit. But then again, too, I mean, he wasn't the number one pick, but we are coming off Travis Etienne. Not even playing last year. He was more like the 107, 108 range, but the running backs do get hurt. So I mean, there is a little bit of injury risk when you're going running back.
Is this a discussion that is or is not Superflex that we're having right now? Oh, it is Superflex that we're having. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
So you can extend that to quarterback, which I know in most years we're going to have. For me, I have a little hesitation with the quarterbacks right now as we see them without the landing spot. So that's why, for me, I can see wide receiver jumping in. But Jimmy, did you have thoughts? Did I cut you off there?
No, I just wasn't sure. We were with the discussion. I was just curious, kind of where we were going there when we're looking at the ceiling of these guys, and I know that I feel like there are certain benchmarks that probably Brees is crossing from a metrics perspective, from a film perspective, that a lot of people are going to be really excited about. I think with the 101, there's more of a discussion to be had. So I don't know that I'm slam dunking Brees Hall. And if someone is super excited about it in my league and they really want him, I'm probably okay with moving off of the 101. That's me. I'm humbly speaking. I'm happy. If someone wants Brees, go for it. I'm happy to be able to choose from there.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting conversation, and we might hit on it more when we get to maybe that second pick or your third pick. So let's save that for a second. I am going to go Brees here with the 101. I just think when we look at the age, again, we're talking about a lot of this class is the talented seniors. You look at some of these ages for the other running backs and the wide receivers, and of course it's Dynasty. We're looking at 2-3 years, so all these guys can produce for a contract, right? But there's a lot of older running backs in this class. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that. A lot of 23-year-olds. Couple 24-year-olds sneaking in there. So
age Twitter, not happy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take Brees as the complete back that I see him with that youth and get a good 4, 5, 6 years out of him. So 102 to Cody.
And Cody, before you go, just real quick, is it a case where everyone's got Brees as their top back currently? Okay.
Same with you.
I think there's an argument, and I think he's in the top tier. I'll say that.
I like it.
Right.
Good.
Just real quickly on that, I could be persuaded, depending on landing spot, to go Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker has been that guy in that discussion for me for a while. But with the 102 here, being that it is Superflex, easy pick, Malik Willis. I know he has a bunch of question marks on his accuracy and everything like that, but you can't take away the arm talent he has, the throws that he can make. He has those ones where your mind is blown because of how good it is, and you have those other ones where your mind blown because you don't know what the hell he was doing with the throw. But all the tools, all the upside, all the athleticism is there. We just saw Jalen Hurts be a weekly top 10 option on, we have 3,000 passing yards. I think he only had 16 passing touchdowns. So it's all about that rushing floor, and Malik Willis brings a boatload of that. So easy pick here for me. Thank you, Robby.
I want to say too about Malik, obviously Liberty, University, not, top tier, but he was a benefit of the transfer portal. And I think as we go along here, just year to year rookie drafts, a lot of our preconceived notions about some of these smaller schools are going to change, because you're going to see more and more of these top tier guys going to smaller schools so they can get playing time. And I mean, if you didn't do that, we wouldn't be talking about him here. So, I mean, Dwight could probably speak to Malik's like deeper background more. But I think a lot of people might be a little surface level about where he's coming from and not know that he, coming out of high school, he was a pretty good pedigree, went to, I believe, Auburn and transferred out.
Real quick before we jump to the 103, I've kind of been the one lower on Trey Lance in the community based on a lot of people, I feel like, ranking him at his upside and not maybe seeing a downside that could happen in his career. And I kind of see Malik Willis similarly, not exactly the same, but in a similar vein, where obviously you draft him this high because of that ceiling that could be hit. But I also think there is a risk that's associated that should be in consideration of it busting. Curious, does anybody else maybe have another quarterback that they would consider taking over Malik, or is it, hey, this is the ceiling, this is what you're aiming at now, you want that Lamar Jackson MVP season, that's what we're chasing now?
That is what you're chasing when you take him. Yeah, he's not my top quarterback. I have a lot of concerns about his overall game and the way it translates to the NFL. I mean, he's a dynamic runner. He's got a dynamic arm, but I just don't think he's good enough at doing a lot of the little things that he'll need to succeed. But I think at 102, you're shooting for that upside. You're shooting for the hope that he is Lamar Jackson, that he does clean it up and he does, become a better passer. And I don't think I'd take another. We can talk about my number one quarterback later, but I wouldn't take him at 102. I mean, just the upside of Malik Willis and the value of Malik Willis is just too high. So.
And that becomes a proposition, right? We're now in a point where we know, even in Superflex leagues, that we want difference makers. It's cool to be able to start two quarterbacks, but if you're not starting a difference maker, someone who can really supercharge your lineup, then it's almost like you're just thinking like, okay, I'm leaving points somewhere. Like, I've got to be able to find an upgrade. I've got to be able to find an advantage somewhere. With Malik Willis, you could swing and miss. I mean, this is 100% from my early 2000s baseball heads. This is the Adam Dunn proposition. You know he's huge, and you know you're gonna swing hard. If you make contact, that thing is out of the park. But you might miss and whiff and be really sick, and you might be picking 102 again next year because, and maybe even the year after that, because you didn't get what you needed out of this pick with Malik Willis. So he's exactly what you're looking for with the pick in terms of what he's going to offer you with his legs. The ceiling is the roof, as one MJ would say. And even if he's not your top quarterback, the thing that everybody listening should be asking themselves is there another guy in this class that I see as being a difference maker at the next level? And obviously, if they get with the right person, like the right play caller, the right situation in the pros, it might sway you. It might make you feel good about, okay, I think I'm okay with seeing, Corral end up with such and such, with, whomever the case may be. But if you don't see that person giving you future QB1 numbers or future QB1 upside, Malik Willis, you at least know with the legs alone that, and as Zach Reed says this, my brother over at the Dynasty Dummies, really Malik Willis's legs are they're not the floor, they're the ceiling. His legs are the ceiling. Like all of a sudden he's taking you to different places if the passing ever comes along. Like it could be ridiculous. So with that, sorry, I don't mean to wax so long. Rambling here. Again, I'm excited to see you guys.
All good.
103, and this is a scary place for me. There's a few players that I like a lot, and the draft is going to tell us a lot. And I don't want to cop out. I'll just tell you right now. And I've told you guys this before. Kenneth Walker is my absolute favorite watch in this class. The reason why is, and I think Robbie said it before, he's definitely a now you see me, now you don't runner. He's in spaces and out of spaces quickly. We have questions about whether or not he can garner the targets at the next level, because if you're not the top pass catcher in your backfield, it's hard to see you being the top pass catcher at the next level in your backfield. It's not a matter of if he can catch. We've seen him catch. We saw it in drills. We saw it in combine. We've seen it in a few games. But the receiving numbers are not great. So it's not a matter of if he can, it's if they'll allow him to do so. If he's not going to be the top pass catcher on the team, that's one of those things that's going to give Breece Hall more value out the gate with a lot of folks, because he's already shown to do that really well and at a high level. But I'm contemplating a few guys here, and with my feet to the fire, I'm really kind of sick about this, but I think I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. I think he's an absolutely fantastic rusher. One of the things that kind of scares me is if he's going if he's going late second round or even early third round, depending on how things shake out in the class. And we know the defense is great, as Dwight highlighted earlier. And I'm passing on a round one wide receiver. Right? That could be tough to swallow. So for right now, I will say I'm taking Kenneth Walker, subject to change, but easily my favorite watch in the class.
I like the wordsmith, my favorite watch. He's careful not to say the favorite running back. I think we're still questioning J. Mike. You got that tier, and you don't have to always, you have a tier for a reason, right? It's not like you have to have, hey, this guy's above this guy. But the favorite watch is a linguistic way to say that. Would you say if you had that pick, your team needs a running back, they're both on the board, would you go Walker over Breece?
It would be really hard. Like the ego in me says, man, I want to take Walker. I'll go heads up, whatever. But at the same time, recognizing all the other factors, my league mates, the value proposition out the gate, all these different things, it would be really difficult for me to take Walker over Hall, knowing what we know at this time. I do have them in the same tier. I do have them in a spot where I feel like it's kind of a flat lands. I don't think the height of this group is as high as others. But I do like Walker and Hall on film grades. I have them in the same tier, separated by 0.5 points.
Yep.
So yeah. I'm a fan. Would I take Walker? That's really tough. Robbie, I don't know that I had the cojones to do it, but I would want to.
I would say too, obviously, the pass catching is, the obvious path towards the ceiling of a fantasy running back, but I mean, there are guys out there that do unlock. It's a rare breed, a rare, Derrick Henry, obviously, is, first example. He doesn't get a lot of catches, but it's not unheard of for a guy to still be completely fantasy relevant, and not catch a lot of passes. So don't let that also, talk yourself out of a pretty decent pick, because the guy's an electric runner, and I'm sure he'll be used as such at the NFL level.
But everything has to go right, Berg. Everything has to go right for Derrick Henry to work out. And even if he is going to do that, that means that he has to do it on such a level so much further and above his pass catching peers that it's got to be world class. And I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he won't. I hope that the passing is, the receiving game is something that he's able to show at the next level, because I think he can. Again, will he get the opportunity? We'll see.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to say he's 1-for-1 Derrick Henry. I'm just saying that there are pathways at the next level for guys to still be decently relevant without the pass volume. But because everyone,
you just wanted to yell at me. It's cool.
Everyone
man.
falls in love with the pass volume, and I get it. I mean, I want to draft a pass catching running back, but that is a question mark here for Kenneth Walker. But I mean, when you watch the guy run, I would say, it's not like Sony Michel back in the day, a couple years ago, which was another guy that didn't have a lot of pass catching on his resume. I would say Kenneth Walker, to me, is a little bit better for a prospect than Sony coming in. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but
much better. Yeah.
All right, Dwight, I stole Sparty from you.
Yeah. Let's see.
104 is over to you, sir.
It's all right. I would have probably went a wide receiver, but I'm not sure. It's so hard because these three guys at the top. But I'm going to go with my favorite one of the three, 6'2", 225-pound Treylon Burks, because I salivate at the idea that he's going to end up in Kansas City or Green Bay, and he's going to be a freaking monster. wherever he lands up. He's got the ability to do what DK Metcalf did. He's not quite as athletic as him, obviously. His scores were nowhere near DK Metcalf level. He doesn't have quite that speed. But how he moves and what he does at his size and the way he owns the sideline, the way he tracks deep balls, he's just a guy that can take over a game. I just watched so much film of him just destroying cornerbacks, and he's going to be a monster in the NFL. They're very much the prototypical X receiver that is kind of becoming almost a thing of the past, but he's it. I mean, he personifies it. And I could have went any way with this without knowing landing spot. If he, for some reason, doesn't end up in one of the prime landing spots, I think I would probably prefer one of the other two guys, Wilson or London, or even, Jameson. One of the guys is a little more refined because Burks he's a monster. So I'll take Burks here at 104. 5, wherever I'm at. 4. There you go.
The 5-man draft throwing him off already.
I know.
I like the Burks pick because he's not the hotness right now. Like people will listen to you do that over Wilson, over London, and they're gonna scoff at it a bit. And I like it because my thoughts are people, and I think we've kind of come back from this now, but right away people looked at the combine and they thought it was a negative for him. And it really wasn't, honestly, especially, which I know we overdo the 40 time, but like the 40 time was amazing for him. I know people look at the number, but like his size and that movement, it is, like you were saying, not DK speed, but you know what he does that DK doesn't do? He's got a little Debo in him. He's got a little bit of backfield action,
Yep.
Get to the outside, get to that edge, get you some yards on the ground. So I think the one thing that people are kind of hitting on is that, contested catch. And I was listening to the FF Dynasty boys. They had John Bauer on it, and Bauer mentioned a tweet from Michael Nania. I think it's Michael _Nania. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but he's talking about the highest percent of their targets being deemed contested by PFF in their final college season. And he lists JJ, Arcega-Whiteside, Denzel Mims, and N'Keal Harry all had above a 32% contested catch rate. And where their each target was contested, right? They're not getting that separation, and he's got that. London and Burks are not near that. They're in the high 20s, right? So as people try and connect those dots to Mims, or they connect the dots to Harry, statistically, right? It's just one analytical tool, right? It doesn't show to match up, and I don't think it shows that on the film either. So. Just wanted to do a little pro Burks talk because I'm with you on that one, Dwight.
Never, ever underestimate backfield action. Wink, wink. Anyways.
Not with the butcher around. It's not safe.
No, I like Burks too. I mean, he feels like the most physical, like no doubter to me, of the wide receivers. I mean, the guy is a straight up beast. All right. Well, here is where I would typically at the 105. I mean, most years, there's only one QB off the board. I feel like I would probably smash the next QB, but I'm not doing it.
He's scared. He's scared.
I watched an NFL Network, which take those with a grain of salt, but it was an NFL Network mock draft. It was Bucky Brooks and Jeremiah. I mean, they didn't take a quarterback in the first round, in their whole draft. So, I don't think that's what it's going to be like come draft day by any means. I honestly think that there's even a range of outcome where Malik goes too. But I mean, it's pretty clear that the NFL is low on these guys, and if that's the case, I mean, I'm not ending up with like the next Drew Lock. All right, I've drafted Drew Lock. I didn't like it. It left a sour taste in my mouth, and I don't think this fresh start in Seattle is even going to be that. I think they probably figure something else out at quarterback before that starts. So I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State. I mean, speed kills. All right. The guy's very fast. I think what I like about him, he's a bit of a finesse player ish. I mean, I think he has the right finesse in terms of he catches the ball with his hands. I think, there's like two types of guys: the very physical receiver and the more elusive chase like guys. Not to compare everyone to Jamar Chase, but now that he set this like mold, and I definitely don't think Garrett Wilson is Jamar Chase, but I do think that he's a guy that's gonna offer a lot of upside to NFL teams and get open, quite frankly, at the next level.
Man, Garrett Wilson's so good. He's so good. Oh man.
And I think he has like the traditional background. I think he and Dwight, he kind of stepped away for a sec, but I think he checks all the boxes. I think he was highly recruited out of high school. He has a lot of production. I think he checks a lot of boxes in the prospect talk. A lot of different Twitters. I think he satisfies.
Yeah, I think we're looking at him being one of those guys, one of those how many ever wide receivers that are likely going to be going in the first round. Offers a lot in terms of what you can do with him in the passing game, and I'm excited. I'm excited for him for a lot of reasons. But he's someone that's going to be able to fit into whatever scheme and be whatever an offense needs him to be. And that versatility is chef's kiss. I'd love to see it. I almost want to flip this back around, snake style, since we don't have actual teams. But I don't know. What do you guys? You guys going to get weird tonight?
Yeah, you want to put my feet to the fire and draft again?
Yes, just do it. Obviously, we don't really have teams here.
I mean, I could only hear the name Drake London so many times before I get a little bit of buy-in, and I'm just going to do it. I'm going to draft Drake London and not even think twice about it. The guy, according to some, is the next greatest football player of all time. According to others, he has a lot of question marks. I could say that about every prospect, but I do think this guy had incredible production at a top program. Pac-12, obviously a bit soft on defense, so maybe those numbers are a bit juiced. But at the same time, I also think that I think there's when there's smoke, there's fire, and I think that's the case here. I think this guy's going to be a great NFL wide receiver. I think he's going to get a lot of draft capital come draft day, and I think he's one of the most talked about prospects for a reason. Drizzy,
just be honest, Berg. A little bit of your USC pride showing here.
Well, I was talking earlier about maybe going to the spring game, to be honest, but no. I mean, honestly, I just think that this. I mean, I honestly, after Burks and Wilson and London, I mean, those guys are all kind of in the same tier ish. But I think after this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're about to experience a serious tier break in terms of guys who profile with really good, prospect profiles.
No, and I think, and I'm just giving you a hard time, obviously, out there on the left coast. Drake London's someone that people are super excited about, and I do think that the opinions may be as polarizing for London as just about anybody else that's going to be going here in the first round. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see how that shakes out when the draft comes. Robby, what were you about to add there?
He played 8 games and had 88 receptions for 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. Like, man, I feel like if this guy played his entire junior season, did not get injured, was able to do his combine, healthy for pro day, all that stuff. Like, this could be a runaway kind of situation like what we've seen with Brees. I'm really excited about Drake London. I'm so excited. I've got him up there with Burks as my tier 1 guys, just those two. Really excited about what they can do on just multiple fronts. And when you look at, we're going to say the word upside so much, and it drives me crazy, and I try not to do it, but I feel like scoring touchdowns is like what you kind of want, right? We've seen the Devontae Adams 18 touchdown seasons. Like, when I look at a player who can be that red zone guy that can score in bunches, that's Drake London for me. And obviously scheme matters, fit matters, all that stuff. But man, if you told me, hey, pick a guy that regardless of where they land, that's going to have the best shot at scoring touchdowns any given Sunday, it's Drake London for me. I really like this player, and I'm excited kind of where he's kind of viewed in with these other guys. And if we throw a couple running backs in front of him, if we throw a couple quarterbacks in front of him, you can be this successful team that was like in the hunt in your playoff dynasty leagues and do a smaller trade up, right? You don't have to trade up to the 103 to get him. You can see him coming off the board if maybe someone, like you were saying, Jim, at the very top, someone's a Pickett's fan, somebody is a Olave fan, whatever it is. You can see him dropping maybe to the 107, 108, and that's what's exciting about this class, is that you can maybe find your guy a little bit later than you could in other years. Also, we did not say hello to Ronald. I wanted to make sure we did, because he's always rocking with us. TFA, great. Ronald, we love having you here. Make sure you're rating these picks. We need to see how we've been doing on these picks. So make sure you're giving us the feedback there in the comments.
I'm gonna have no Drake London, FYI, like anywhere. Everyone will be much higher on Drake than me, which is totally okay. And I get why everyone's excited, but I'll just likely I don't think I'm willing to pay the price, and I'm okay with being wrong on this, because I think that, again, you talk about ceilings. Ceiling is
It's
crazy.
really high.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, J Mike nailed Waddle last year, so heed those words. I heed those words.
No, I'm just saying, for me, a lot of things I feel like have to go right for London to really have the impact that people want him to have. And that would include being with a quarterback who's going to be willing to give him those opportunities to do what he does amazingly, which is win contested catch. And if he gets in that situation, wheels up. Like it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be awesome, and he's gonna be very, very good. I just don't right now. I'm not that person that's willing to make that bet.
Can you do a real quick, like, these are my concerns? Like, we don't have to dive super deep, but just here's why I'm not there.
Sure. For me, when it comes to London, you do see someone who can make plays on the ball as well as anybody in the class. One of the things that does concern me is, and I feel like there's been a lot of discussion of late talking about Drake London being able to create separation. And I'm sorry, I didn't see a ton of it. I see a lot of corners in his hip pocket. He is physical. He's able to do something after the catch. But for me, again, when we're looking at wide receivers, the ability to separate at all levels and mitigate, like, the things that have to go right around you for you to be successful, I place a premium on that, because the NFL has now placed a premium on that. And if he's not going to be paired with a quarterback that's willing to throw him those 50-50 balls and is not going to be willing to fit it in the tight windows for him to be able to make those plays, if it's a see it, throw it kind of quarterback versus someone who's more anticipatory, that's not a situation I want to be in. That's not a situation that I think London thrives in. So that's a small piece of my London thoughts.
Yeah, he was definitely used more to the line, more toward the line of scrimmage than you would like to see of a guy his size. I mean, you look at some of his games here. 10 for 165 is nice, but he had a 16 for 162, a 15 for 171. There's like barely 10 yards a catch. And you'd like to see maybe a little bit bigger plays out of him, especially the guy his size and how good he looks when he has the ball in his hands. They did a lot of manufactured screens and things like that for him that kind of made his numbers look a little bit better. So I have a little pause for him, but yeah, I might not have a whole lot of him either.
Yeah, I think a lot of people try and comp him to Mike Evans, and I don't quite see that level, but I like comping him to Dez Bryant. As a Cowboy fan, I see a lot of similarities of what you're saying, J. Mike, in the separation questions, where I think he does an okay job, but Dez Bryant was never a separator either. And I think he wins in the same way that Des Bryant does, and then that you can take that for the good side of Des Bryant, and we're talking on the field here, and you can take that for the bad side of Des Bryant and some of the issues that we saw, creep up in a couple of seasons. So, yeah, enough Drizzy talk, but I wanted to get your concerns out.
I think we're back on Dwight then.
Yeah, we lost you, J Mike.
I hear J Mike. I see J Mike's moving.
Yeah.
Dwight, who you got?
All right. J Mike's so passionate. I want to know what he's saying. All right. Yeah,
never know.
There is a tier break here. Like, this is definitely, I think you want to be in those first 6 picks. So here, and then you can go this direction. There's 1,000 directions you can go from here. There's like 20 guys in this next tier or whatever. And I'm going to go with my quarterback 1, which is Matt Corral. I absolutely love Matt Corral. I love his mobility. I love his moxie. He makes big time throws in big time situations. He's got an arm that can go to all levels. He's showed a really amazing mobility this year. He had a yard against Tennessee. He had over 200 yards rushing. I mean, it was crazy to see a quarterback do that, which could also be part of his downside, which is he's 6'1", 195, I think, or might even be 6'2", 195. He's a little slight to be running like that in the NFL. I don't want him to get Robert Griffin. Next thing you know, he's out of the league because he just can't take that type of beating. So I want to see him rein that in a little bit, but I think he makes really good decisions with the ball. He cleaned it all up a lot this year in that aspect. But the kid I love the way he plays. I really love watching what he does. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's kind of cocky, but not in an arrogant way, So I really love watching Corral play, and I'll take him here at 107.
Sniper, no sniping. Ugh, unbelievable.
Pew pew pew.
Let's go around the horn real quick, because I'm with you. Everything that you said, Dwight, cosign. I'm right there with you when it comes to Corral. I'm just curious of everyone else's opinion in terms of your if Willis is your number 1, who's your QB2 in the class? Robby.
So I'll be honest. I haven't done the deep dive. I've done the first film watch of quarterback, but I haven't gone back and gone fully in depth. That's the last position, just because I feel like that's the position that we always get wrong, or at least I always get wrong. But I think for me, I do have Corral as that QB1. And if we're talking Dynasty, we're talking fantasy, that's where I'm starting to consider Willis for me. If that's your question. If we're talking just overall as a prospect, I'm still going to have Willis a little bit farther down. I think Pickett and Carson Strong, actually, I don't know if he's going to be a name that we say in this because he's kind of viewed a little bit farther down due to the lack of rushing upside, right? But from prospect perspective, it's Corral, Pickett, and Strong up there for me. But then obviously, if we're talking fantasy, you got to look at that potential with Willis at some point. So he would be QB2.
Cole, man, you've been quiet way too long. Who's your QB2 in the class?
I'm also with Robby that I'm always wrong on quarterbacks and I have no idea what I'm really looking at, but Corral would be my QB2 for sure.
Okay. All right. Very good. So 107's in the books. 108 here. I think I'm gonna make Kevin Steele proud here. We see you, Jacob. Kenny Pickett, Pitt's own QB2 for you. Not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. He's still got this funky little hitch when he throws. I don't know what's up with that. But hey, he got it done this past season. So,
have you heard he has small hands?
Baby hand. Baby hand.
Take my strong hand.
Little bitty baby hands.
Cody. Yes. Take my strong hand. No, give me another one. All right. 108. Sorry. I'll make you proud here, Kev. I believe that there are about 4 wide receivers that you build a passing game around. 5 if you include Drake London. But there are 4 guys that I feel like they don't need a ton to go right for them to be able to really make impact. And Jameson Williams is that guy for me with Corral going off the board there. Jameson Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama. Again, you talk about speed kills. You talk about someone who and again, we all have the questions of what happened at Ohio State, why he didn't get on the field. And at this point, that really doesn't make a difference to me because of the fact that he goes to Alabama and the passing game is built around him. And literally, we saw in the national championship, and again, Georgia's an amazing defense, but you see what happens when an entire offense is built around someone, and you saw the lack of depth of playmakers to be able to really make things happen against a really talented defense. So Jameson Williams, someone who's able to win at all levels. The play strength isn't always there for Jameson Williams. However, I saw enough from him this season as someone who dictates everything that happens on the field, from the coverage, obviously, that's happening to him, but obviously to be able to free up others around him. And in fantasy, that piece isn't helpful, but the fact that literally can beat anyone deep, he's able to snap off his routes, and he's able to do something after the catch as well that's special. I'm a big fan of Jameson Williams. So not quite as big of a fan as I was of Waddle or Jefferson before, even the years prior, but I'm a fan of Jameson Williams and what he adds to an offense and what he can add to your fantasy team. So sign me up, Jameson Williams, 108. Whew.
I'm going to say too, real quick. I mean, it's pretty cool. We live in an era where like the injury he suffered in that last game, like it's pretty much an afterthought. We're not even like really considering that. Like, I mean, before it was kind of like, well, you got to bring that into like the whole conversation. I wouldn't even be worried about that at this point. You know, all these guys come back so fast from that now. It's crazy.
No doubt.
I like how you say that, because listening to other podcasts, I feel like that's a reason people are pushing him down, honestly. And obviously we know this is Dynasty and you're going for the long haul, but people are putting that into their thought process a little bit. And other people might have him higher. I know that there are people that have him as the top, 1 or 2 wide receivers in this class. So he can be a guy that you can have for value, kind of like I said with London. Take your pick here. You can get him at the 108, right? So,
yeah. And again, as someone who is, again, the price that you may have had to pay from a pick perspective prior to the injury may have been a little bit higher. See him slide down to the second half of the first round. For me, I really like that discount that you're getting on what he is, especially if he still goes in the first round of the NFL draft. Woo! I'm excited. A lot of fun wide receivers here, and we're on a wide receiver. It was a wide receiver run like no other. Dwight went and sniped Corral, but Cole, man, yeah, that's me. 109. Where we headed?
I'm gonna keep the wide receiver run going with a wide receiver that, frankly, I'm not like crazy about, but he's gonna get first round draft capital. There are people smarter than me who seem to think that he is good.
Don't do it.
And because I hate Robby. That's really what this comes down to.
Do it.
He's riding too high right now. Need to bring his ass back down to the ground with the rest of us. Chris Olave. There's no W. Chris Olave. Gonna take him.
A lot of W's in your future if you draft him. That's where the W's come in.
Thanks for saving me there, bud. Yeah, has the speed. Good, good route runner. I think he's safe, but there's just no denying at this point that he's going to be, he's going to have that first round draft capital. So it's hard to pass up on that here, especially with the questions at quarterback, the questions at running back as well. So Olave is going to be the pick.
That's good stuff. I like it. I mean,
Fuck off, Robby.
For me, the most pro-ready wide receiver in this class. Like he doesn't do anything poorly. He does quite a few things really well. People will say he doesn't have that one defining trait, and I'd argue he can get vertical over you. He can break you down and get separation. The after the catch is going to be your big knock on him, right? Doesn't offer a ton after the catch, but gives me some Tyler Lockett vibes where he can beat you deep. He can score on you, and I think he was might be a hot take. I think he was the best Ohio State wide receiver here. I know we got another guy coming in the next class that obviously dominated, but really good prospect. I like him a lot.
Just
Go
wait
ahead,
till
go ahead.
2023, man.
I think the real crime here is the fact that Cody has all but murdered his bias. No Jahan Dotson here for him. So I think that I don't know if this is a growth point for him. I don't know if it's the fact that since he moved, he's a changed man. I'm not sure exactly if you get outside the state of Pennsylvania and no longer has that hold on his heart. I don't know what just happened, but he took a Buckeye over his guy. I don't know. This is growth. Love to see it.
I just did some quick math here with Olave. Last 3 years, he just scored a touchdown every 5.1 catches. So, I mean, the guy's production is pretty off the charts when you really step back and look at it from a macro level. Unbelievable producer. I mean, I think he's going to go very high in the NFL draft. I think I saw Debro, Derek Brown tweet something about like people fading him. I was like, is this going to be like? There's always one guy every year that like is going to get high draft capital, and everyone's going to fade for reasons. I was like, is that Olave this year? Like, oh my god! Like, if he's drafted in the first or second round and he's there in late first, second round, like a Ruggs or a Hollywood Brown, Mamma Mia, that's some nice value.
Mamma mia.
J Mike, the real reason is the fact that all 5 of us are in the same league together. It's not growth. It's strategery.
Throwing us off the scent. Okay. Fair enough.
Is that what we're supposed to be doing?
110.
I'm here eating the checker pieces. Y'all playing chess. Damn, I didn't realize that's what we were doing. In that case, oh man, I think this is where it gets interesting for me because I can go a lot of different ways. I obviously was going to go Chris Olave, so you made it real difficult on me. I think I'm going to jump back into the quarterback pool here and go Kenny Pickett. I think, and I kind of want to hear you guys' opinions because, again, I said I haven't done the full deep dive on the quarterbacks, but apart from like the hands conversation, which I get is a thing, but like Dwight making the hand motions, it's like this guy's could go at 6, right? He could go to the Panthers at 6. He could have some really good weapons there. I don't know. I just feel like he can go really high. He could be the first quarterback off the board. We've seen him dominate this past year. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of goodness to be had with Kenny Pickett that if you're in a Superflex and you're all the way down here at the 110, it feels wrong not to take him at this point. But I'd like to hear some other thoughts on the concerns with Pickett and how seriously you're taking the hands, the lack thereof, the lack of hands maybe. Curious on your guys' thoughts there.
Go for it, Dwight.
Everybody at once. All right. I think Pickett's going to be an all right quarterback. I mean, I think Andy Dalton was all right for a while, and I think he's going to be. I'm not as worried about the hand size. I mean, he showed tremendous growth this year. He had 4 years where he was just kind of meh, and then he had this amazing year this year, which was a lot to do with just the system, Jordan Addison, but he showed a lot of leaps and bounds as far as his growth. I worry a little bit about his turnovers. He did have a fumbling issue. He did clean up the interception issue he had before, but I think he's going to be an all right NFL quarterback. I have no problem with anybody taking him here. I'm still just a little worried about how it's going to translate to the NFL. He's got pretty good mobility. He showed that this year he can move around pretty good, better than I thought he could. And he also plays with that same passion that I like, but I don't know. When you watch the tape, you see a lot of, it's hard to say. I hate speaking negatively about prospects. I feel like he's missing something. Like it's just not quite there. I think he's going to be an all right quarterback. So yeah, it's just not there. Like it's hard to explain. But
do we think Kenny Pickett is going to be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft?
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
With the buzz you hear and stuff. So,
if he's not, I mean, put this guy in a coffin. He's not going to not draft him.
Yeah, he'll hang around the league for a while.
Yeah, but he'll be like someone that you trade. I would not draft. It would be someone that you trade for because he's like getting a start because someone's hurt. He's not going to, I mean, we've all played long enough to kind of know how this goes, right? It's like good quarterbacks go in the first 10 picks. Once you get past that, like it's going to be hit or miss. I mean, not, there's only so many Dak Prescotts. So, I mean, you're better off, there's the idea that like Superflex, you want to, take a shot on the quarterback. I would do it in the 3rd or 4th round. These other guys are going to see the field. So, my personal opinion.
If he doesn't go, super early, like to the Panthers at 6, and it's maybe a Washington Commanders or somebody in the teens there, is that a situation where you guys feel like that's a positive or a negative because of that? Let's just take the Washington Commanders. Is that something where you view that as a win for Pickett and you guys like that and you would like taking him in a spot like this? Or is it something where you're kind of holding off a little bit?
I'm going to answer that with it. Go ahead.
No, I'm holding off on that landing spot in particular. But if for some reason he makes it to 20 to Pittsburgh, oof. I like him in that offense, as a guy who won't be asked to do a whole lot, but has some good weapons and a team that actually knows how to build a team and knows how to build around strengths and plays good defense. So I could see Washington plays all right defense. I'm not going to say their defense is trash, but offensively they tend to be a little more stagnant. So I don't know if I'd love that spot as much, and I'd probably fade him a little bit. But if he had a good spot like Pittsburgh, yeah, I can. This is well justified. I don't think he's even making it to 110 in rookie drafts if he lands somewhere like Pittsburgh. So.
I want to answer that with a question, Robbie, and I promise you, I'm not trolling when I say this. So it might sound weird, but I'm not. I'm genuine. What's the upside case for Kenny Pickett as a fantasy asset or a fantasy quarterback, like difference maker? Like, I'm really happy I took Kenny Pickett at one whatever. Like, can you outline what the optimal situation is that says, okay, yeah, I'm excited about this from a fantasy perspective? So I don't think it's a matter of can he be a good NFL quarterback or can he be a fine NFL quarterback, right? We probably think that could be the case. But from a fantasy aspect, what does that look like to you?
Yeah, I think for me, it's that new age quarterback where you do have that I don't want to call him the dual threat, but I want to say that he has that ability to score, and get you points on the ground. And I think we see that with a couple of these other non-Willis quarterbacks, right? We've seen it from Howell, we've seen it from Corral, we've seen it from Pickett, and he checks that box for me. And then I think if you put him in the right system, and again, that's why I threw out the Commanders, because I'm not sure if that is the right system. If there's a right system for him, and I love how Dwight pointed out, number 20 going to the Steelers. If he's not asked to do too much, I kind of view him as the Daniel Jones who succeeded, right? You put the right pieces around Daniel Jones, he in a different world, right? He could have succeeded, maybe. He doesn't have Joe Judge. He doesn't have Dave Gettleman trying to surround him with different pieces. And I know that's everyone's like, why are we comparing him to Daniel Jones? You're trying to make the positive, right? But everybody's in a range, right? It's not like this guy's going to be bad and this guy's going to be good. There's a range, right? And his range, I think, gets him into that low-end QB1, QB2 consistency. Like if Derek Carr can be a consistent QB2 for me, I'll take what he gives me and toss some running on top of it. And I can see Kenny Pickett being that guy. So, again, I need to hit the tape a lot more for these quarterbacks. So I don't want to speak on what he does well, what he doesn't do well, because I'm only 2 games in on his tape. But from what I've seen so far, I think we have that potential where there's enough running. There's enough running there, and there's enough arm talent there where it can be a good pick at this late, right? We're not talking about you're investing your early first. This is the late first. This is your team that, hey, a league that a lot of us are in. I've got Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I've got the AARP at my quarterbacks. I need to replenish. I'm not going to get a better option than one of these guys at my late pick. So that's what I see.
I can dig it.
His absolute ceiling is Kirk Cousins. I mean, to a T. I mean, exactly. I can't see him getting any higher than that. And Cousins is he's a pretty good fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, he's decent for sure. He's underrated. People want to poo-poo him, but he's a very solid steady Eddie. I would say he's a quintessential QB2 in a Superflex format.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins 3 straight years as a QB1. I forget the exact years, but he transitioned from Washington to Minnesota, right. Maintained that 3 straight years because QB6, QB10, QB11. I'm not upset at that. I like that comparison.
Hey, okay. So I want to use that term range to pivot to my 201 pick here, and I'm going to take George Pickens.
No, Bird. Good try.
What?
I love your transition.
What? No?
Doesn't he have to go?
You double up. We're going to let Robbie double up. We're spinning it back.
Oh, you're right. Shit, my bad. Fuck.
Hey, Bird, are you okay staying for a little while? Or
actually, I'm turning into a pumpkin here pretty soon, but
okay. Yeah. Excellent.
That's why I was kind of trying to do
It'd be an upgrade. So, okay. Anyway. All right.
Hey-o.
Oh man. Well, we can't let him turn into a pumpkin. I'll make this quick because I think this is a guy that people are very down on right now. They view the combine. They say can't hack it. We were expecting a lot more. David Bell is going to be my pick here, and it's going to be a lot earlier than most people would take him. But this is where you stand for a guy, and this is a guy that is just super smooth, super crisp, just really good shiftiness, great football IQ. I'm all about David Bell because he's going to be a value where I won't have to take him here, but this is a spot where, hey, I'm eating the checker pieces. I'm showing the guys that I like. He can play a lot of different positions, whether it's the big slot, the outside. He can fit in. You tell me he's landing on X team, he's going to be able to fit on that team because they're going to be able to find a position for him and a way to get him the football because he is a technician, I think, and does a lot of things well. So I'm not worried about the athleticism because I knew that wasn't a thing when I watched the tape. And I don't think it's as bad as people made it out to be. He's not an athlete. I understand that, but neither was your wide receiver one from this last year in Cooper Kupp, right? Not an athlete. That's not how he wins either. So I'm going to take David Bell. I know it's a super controversial pick, but I'm all in.
Jacob Smith. With
this to me is one of those things. So like, if David Bell hits, we're gonna see this come up from Robbie. Like, I took him in the first round of this mock. That's all this is for. It's just for the timestamp. It's just for the tweet, the I told you show. So I'm adding letters into words that don't need to be there.
Fair enough.
Berg, do you want to go with the 112 here quick, and then we can let you bounce?
We're in the second round, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah. 202. We only got 10
Cody,
picks.
Do it. Just go.
Let me do my can I do can I do my 202?
Do you think?
Can I finish my
trade it up? You traded up.
I traded up to go in. And I'm going to go back to what I was saying before about the range of outcomes. And I'm going to take George Pickens here from Georgia, wide receiver. And I think that there's a range of outcomes where this guy is a top 5 pick. You look at on Player Profiler because I you guys know I'm a big proponent of that. Although I've cooled on a little bit, but I do think it adds value. But you look at Garrett Wilson, he compared to Jerry Jeudy, boom. George Pickens, best comparable, Jerry Jeudy. So obviously, you have a similar archetype, a wide receiver, and who came out with a splash his freshman year from Georgia. Then, I think he was a bit forgotten coming off injury. He didn't play a ton. And I think, if he was more seen, I think this guy and had more tape, I think this guy excites a lot more people. I think that he has a lot of things to like about him and offers a lot of that, upside to be, a potential wide receiver 1 for a team. So I was a big Pickens guy. I know that, after his freshman year, I thought this guy looked amazing. He didn't really build upon that, but at the same time, I know what's there, and I know, things could change drastically at the next level. And especially for guys with some of the tools that he has in his toolkit.
Love to see it. Berg, you dipping?
I unfortunately do have to go, gentlemen. As I'm a few hours behind you, this is now rounding into our two children's. We got to get them both out of our lives for the night. So it's been a pleasure as always, and let's do it again soon. Not as long.
Be well, Berg.
All right, thank you, my dudes.
Appreciate it, Bird.
George Pickens, man, I love that for so many reasons. For so many reasons, I love that. I'm a little upset about the fact that we allowed him to go in and steal again. Another snipe happened. I don't think Cody was going to be taking Pickens, but yeah, again, a guy who was routinely being seen as the wide receiver of this class a couple of years ago. I really like the ceiling for Pickens. Go ahead, Robbie.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, because Pickens is a guy that I can see being the top wide receiver in this class, but also I can see, like, we're talking ranges, right? We're gonna hit the ranges theme a lot, but like his range for me is wider than Jamison Williams. It's wider than Olave. It's definitely wider than Wilson and London for me. Like, there's things I love about Pickens games, and there's some things that I'm like, man, he's raw in quite a few spots. So I feel like he is a guy that if he's your guy, you got to take him, because he has that ability to be, even though he's not talked about in that tier 1, he has the tier 1 traits, but he also has a lot of those tier 3 traits for me. So that's why he falls in this area where I think this is right where I'd take him. This is a good spot for me. So I was curious if you guys feel the same, or are you guys all a little bit higher on Pickens?
Probably a little higher for me as I look. Sorry, I was looking at, wait, who else gone? Probably a little higher for me.
Yeah, he'd be in this range. I think it all depends on when you get to this point of your drafts. Like, what are you looking for? Are you swinging for upside at this point? Do you want a safer pick? But Pickens is one of those guys, like you were just saying, Robbie. I'm not going to repeat everything you just said, but like if he can put it together, he could very well be one of the top 2 or the top wide receiver in this class for sure. So just to recap the first round for everyone who is not watching on YouTube and is listening at home, in their cars, at work, where have you, in the turlet. 101 was Breece Hall, and this is a Superflex rookie mock. 101 was Breece Hall, Malik Willis, Kenny Walker, Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson at 105, Drake London, Matt Corral, Jameson Williams, Chris Olave, Kenny Pickett. 111 was Nuts on the Table by Robbie Jeffries. That was David Bell. And then George Pickens at the 112 spot before we got Big Time by David Berger. Just for those at home, he does not actually have kids. When he was talking about his kids, he was talking about putting his Emmys to sleep. So with that out of the way, at the 201, you're right, Jay Mike. I probably wouldn't have went Pickens at that spot, although he's definitely worthy of being in that consideration. I am going to go back to my roots, go with the Penn State guy. I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson. I think the draft capital is going to be there for him. I think he's locked in as a top 40-ish pick at worst. I think that's his floor. I don't really see him lasting too much longer past the beginning of the second round. He could be in the first. He's been getting a bunch of buzz there and mocks and whatnot, but someone who's going to be playing the slot, I think he does have some questions, but, really good hands, good enough route runner. You saw his athleticism on tape and at the combine. So I think, like I was saying, depends on what you want at this point of the draft, whether you're swinging for upside or you're going to go with the safer pick. There's definitely some higher upside picks I could have gone with here, but I think Jahan Dotson is just going to be, rock solid. Don't have a lot of questions with him, but just might have a massive ceiling.
Are running backs in this draft still? Are there still? I was just questioning. I forgot that there were running backs on the table.
I'm waiting for Kyron and Spiller to finish their 40s. Hold on.
But don't you wear your little head. Running back's coming right up.
Okay.
Soon as you let me make
that was in consideration for sure.
Jahan Dotson, another player that I will have. I won't say 0. It'll just be it'll have.
Shut up.
Muted.
Or
Muted. Yeah. Doing it again. Just he mutes him. Oh, dirty. Dirty.
Man. Savage.
So,
All right.
man,
we'll just edit that part out, Robbie. Mark this one down at
Mark,
the 3-hour mark of this mock draft. Make sure we take this part out.
what a Walito.
Where you been? Where you been?
What's
Welcome,
up with
Walito.
you,
Thank you so much.
Good to see you. Good to see you, man. No, I'm honestly, Cody, have you ever seen someone catch more screen passes and get tackled by the first person more than Jahan Dotson in your entire life? Anybody?
I wreck my kid in backyard football.
Dotson makes the most amazing catches, and then he makes the most amazing spellbinding drops too. Like I just, yeah, he drives me crazy. Whew.
Yeah.
I think not to go down this rabbit hole, but obviously the not breaking tackles thing is not a scheme thing, right? But I do think that the Penn State passing game has just been dreadfully boring and incredibly predictive. So like we've seen him when he goes down the field when he's actually being used. But like that's not going to be his. I mean, he's 180 pounds. You know, what I mean, lanky. He's not stacked like somebody who's still sitting around who's a little bit shorter as well. But he's not going to be a broken tackle guy. But I think if you put him in the slot and get him in a vertical kind of passing game, he's going to be able to succeed.
Yeah, Sean Clifford. That's all you got to say.
James Franklin.
Sean Clifford actually backed up Tom Brady. That's how long he's been in college football.
Yo, that's crazy. All right, 202.
Who you got, bud?
Before we just completely bury all Nittany Lions at this point. 202. Again, from a film perspective, I had him up there in the top tier of guys. Really like Isaiah Spiller, running back, Texas A&M. I think we have questions about some of his athletic measurables, and he did not. I think he did not perform several things at the combine. I don't even know what his pro day was. I've been a little bit out of the loop when it comes to the pro days and how things shook out there. But again, someone when it comes to his actual play on the field, clear vision. He's able to pick through the trash really well. Sometimes he relies on speed too much, and sometimes he relies on his power too much, just kind of running into people, very Kylan Hill-esque. Kylan being someone that I was excited about, but seeking contact's not a good – yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Cody. Seeking contact, not really a good thing when you're a running back. It's just something that I'm slowly learning as we continue this scouting life that we live, that we hobby a bit. But he is someone who's able to chain moves together consistently. He shows well in the passing game, able to transition into a runner from being a pass catcher, and super productive. So curious how the NFL will see him, because I don't know that his off season or this pre-draft campaign for him has been one that has been good at all. It's been rather meh across the board. And I'm curious if we as a dynasty community are more excited about Isaiah Spiller than the NFL. And so that will remain to be seen as well. So I'm excited to see how it shakes out, but he's someone that I really liked on film. So I'll go Spiller here at the 202.
Just real quick, it's kind of funny. I thought that like Spiller and Hall, like their 40 times would be like somewhere in the middle of where they were, right? Like I didn't think that Hall was going to run what he ran. I know there was rumors floating around that he could be in that range, but I don't see that on his games on the tape. I don't see that in his game speed, and I didn't see Spiller being as bad as he was. That was a 4.64 at his pro day, J Mike, just to fill you in on there. But like I didn't think he was that bad, and I didn't think Breece Hall was that good. Like at the outset of this, I had those two like very similar. I saw a lot of the same similar things between those two, as far as the running back position goes. But yeah, definitely did not see those two ends from those guys coming with their 40s.
Yeah. I really like his film. Really like his film. I'll just say that. I see you, Kev. Shout out to you, Kev. Ruined it with David Bell. Poor man's Dwayne Bowe. Dang.
Cruel.
Oh,
Straight cruelty.
all right. 203.
203.
Damn you, Anthony Miller. All right.
There's a name.
My crush this year is my wide receiver 5, Sky Moore, who Kevin just alluded to. He is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the kid, his movement, what he can do off the line of scrimmage, his quick feet, shifty. I mean, you cannot press him; he'll burn you so bad you won't know what hit you. Another small slot guy, crazy good after the catch, just electric with the ball in his hands. I've mocked him to Green Bay a couple times, and if he does, I might take him as my wide receiver 2 or 3 if he lands in a spot like that. Like, that is how much I love his game and what he can do in the NFL. So, I mean, I challenge you to find anything to not like about his game other than his size. I mean, that's about it. I mean, he's phenomenal. So, my Anthony Miller this year. So we'll see if this one works out.
They already have Amari Rodgers there, though.
Who that?
Yeah, it's your Anthony Miller, just 4 years younger as a prospect. You have a couple more extra years.
Probably a lot better of a prospect too. I ignored some things with Anthony Miller, so.
It's good. It's good to kind of look back and reflect on that stuff. That's something that I need to continue to do. I think that's who's the guy that you really loved. Well, where did you miss it, and was it something that it's in your process? So I like you saying that.
Kevin. All right, so Robbie, what do you got? 204, buddy.
We going back to you, or are we just going regular style? We were all over with this draft. It was 10-man draft. It was 12-man draft. It is snake style. It's straight through. Fans listening at home, this is a normal TFA production, as professional as we come.
Oh, what? I can go again, I guess. Whatever. 204.
Actually, you're going to have to start going quite often, because we're getting to a level where Cody and I are going to start tapping out on some of these prospects.
All right, another guy I absolutely cannot stop is Rachaad White. I'll take him at 204. I'm very scared of what the NFL thinks of him. I mean, he's a little bit older prospect. I believe he's 24. He did come from a JUCO, and he has kind of bounced around a little bit. So, but what I saw at Arizona State, I mean, he is one of the best pass catching backs in this class. He can run inside. He's got good contact balance, pretty good vision. He doesn't create a lot on his own. That's one of the few downsides that I saw in his game. But I mean, his contact balance, and when he hits somebody and he bounces off, it's pretty damn good. So I just don't know what the NFL thinks of him, and because I mean, I've seen in this scouting in our little industry, I've seen people have him anywhere from RB4 to RB15. You know, like Brandon Lejeune can't stand him. You know, and some of these other guys just don't see it. And my untrained eye or whatever, I think he's freaking amazing. So I love just about everything he does, except for the ability to create on his own. That's one thing he doesn't have. And he sometimes dances around behind the line a little bit too much. But I mean, he can run inside, he can run outside, great pass catching. I mean, I'll take a shot at this point. It's all a wide open here, man.
For sure. It's insert running back with draft capital at this pick here, right? I think it's interesting. I saw a lot of things that you saw. The one thing that I disagree on is his ability to run inside. I think that's what's going to hold him back. Is I don't think he's an inside guy at all, and I'm not sure that he will have success as a 3-down back in that sense of being a first and second. Hey, if we got to get in between the tackles and get yardage, that's not something that I saw. So I'm curious on Cody and J Mike. Maybe can break a little tie there, because I think that's what holds him back a little bit for me, age being one, but that not being the complete back would be the other.
Yeah, I think you'd have to find the right scheme. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, you can definitely tell he's raw in terms of like the running back position for me anyway. Like, I think he is more one of these guys who's more like athlete right now than he is running back. which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like Dwight just said, like if he lands in the right spot, not necessarily a bad thing. But I do share some of the same concerns. Back on J. Mike for any Rashad White thoughts, and then on to the 205.
No, I think Rashad White's someone that offers a lot of versatility. And as an athlete, I mean, just the other day, I think I bumped into his RAS score and pretty sick, like a 9.7 or 9.8 something. Just a really sick athlete with his testing. So I think the best may be yet to come with White. I didn't love a lot of what I saw at Arizona State, but some of the flashes that you did get from him, his ability to be versatile, even between the tackles, and again, once he gets out in space regarding as a receiver, I think that there's a lot to be had. I think that his best days are ahead of him. I'm curious what that's going to look like, and if that's going to offer you some fantasy value early. But I think White's someone he's an interesting find, specifically at this point in the process. I'm sorry, I was over here trying to flip through on my QB notes because I feel like I'm going back to the QB well here, and there's a couple of players that I have a hard time parsing between because I do think that again, when we're looking at this point in the draft, I think Sam Howell showed us that there is an ability that he has and it may have been out of necessity with his legs. That was really cool to see this season. And it was something that was unexpected. And we saw him be a world beater in 2020 when he had 4 guys that he was playing with who all ended up on NFL rosters. De'Ami Brown, Daz Newsome, Michael Carter, Javonte Williams, Javonte the Destroyer Williams. All these guys go to the league, come back, and everyone's expecting him to be the Heisman. And in North Carolina is not the same team at all at any level. The defense let him down. Howell wasn't as prolific. However, I like a lot of the tools that he has, and I do believe, and again, in between him and Ritter, I think Howell's more consistent, and I think Howell offers a little. I don't know if I want to say that. I'm not committing to that. I'm going to take that back. I'm just going to say I'll take Sam Howell now, and I do believe that there is. Again, you talk about the best being yet to come for someone. Again, you see him land in Pittsburgh, and I'm excited. You see him land in one of those places where it's there's a solid infrastructure, and I think this is where it may benefit him if he doesn't go in the first round. The numbers say that it's not great that he doesn't go in the first round, but in terms of his overall longevity and ability to actually be put in a position that works, I'd love to see him in some kind of situation like that with an organization that's not going to be wasting what he is and what he can be, and they surround him with talent. I think Sam Howell would be really interesting. So I'll take the swing here with Sam Howell. I'm a little divided minded about that, but I think that he's worth the stab here in the mid-second. Any Sam Howell thoughts before we go to Code Man for 206?
No, man, I agree with you. I don't know what I'm looking at when it comes to mechanics and all that, but I don't understand like the amount of hate that he has gotten. Been doing it since his freshman year. It's like we're talking about UNC as a Bama, Ohio State, where he's just able just to dish it off to all these superior athletes and superior talent, and he still put up numbers. He started out the gate slow this year, but still came around to kind of what his numbers have been for the past 3 years at UNC. Is he a difference? Is he going to elevate the talent around him on an NFL team? Probably not. But Jimmy, like you said, if he can land with a team like Pittsburgh, where the pieces are around him, can he be a distributor? Can he be a point guard? Absolutely.
I'm just worried that coming from North Carolina that he's going to blow a lot of leads, like really big leads.
Yo.
Ooh.
Like 15-point leads? Is that what you mean?
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I
But then
mean,
he might make a really, really dumb pass in the last couple seconds of the game.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Shoot the wrong shot.
Yo. Y'all so disrespectful. Let's go.
too soon. It's too soon, man.
Too soon. Too soon. Cole, man, 206, where we headed?
206. I feel like I should take the other quarterback that I feel like you were probably up in the air with, J. Mike, but I'm going to swing here because it is a 206 and because the quarterbacks I am not sold on, someone who has all of the upside, and I hope I'm sniping Robby again, and that would be 6'4", 208, 4.4 speed wide receiver Christian Watson. Definitely, rough around the edges, raw. You see some big flashes from him. Didn't have a ton of production. I don't know who said. I can't remember who said this. I saw it on Twitter, and I don't want to make it as if it's my own. But it's funny. He's kind of like the Trey Lance of wide receivers, right? Like he's someone who, if he could put it all together, you could be looking at someone who just smashes. Like the things you say, like you can't teach height. You can't teach speed. This dude has both of those things. So gonna be really, really interesting to see, one, where he lands. Does he sneak into the first round like some people are potentially saying after the drumbeat continued from the Senior Bowl and then to his combine? But at worst, I think we're looking at someone who's a high second round, mid second round pick. So if he can put it all together, this is going to be one of those picks that would potentially look really good a year out from your rookie drafts.
I don't know that I've seen a wide receiver in this class run more free in secondaries than Christian Watson. There's so many. If you can track down the NDSU games, that dude is running free in secondaries and just blowing by everybody. So speed's real. Speed is definitely real, and that kind of size and how he showed out at the combine. Stock's up right now for Christian Watson, so feels like he's doing everything right, and eyes are on him, which is cool to see.
Yeah. Talking about stocks, like he would be the Tesla stock. Like he has gone from unknown to he could be a nice dart throw to he might be day 2. He's definitely day 2. Oh, by the way, I'm sneaking him into the end of the first. Like reputable sources are mocking him at the end of the first. Like I've seen it kind of with Sky Moore rise, right? He's sneaking into the back of the first. Watson sneaking into the back of the first. It's going to be super interesting. Like, I don't know how many wide receivers go in the first, but 5 doesn't feel like enough for how many different guys are getting. Yeah, like there's so many openings. And I know, like Dwight said, this is a defensive heavy draft, and it should be. There are a lot of great players, but man, a lot of teams need wide receiver, and a lot of teams are at least being mocked that, as we've seen. So really, really, really good rise for Watson. You did not snipe me, Cody. When I'm in this kind of area, it's let's take the quarterback. Let's take the quarterback who again is not dual threat, can run, and that's Desmond Ridder. 4-year starter. Got better. I mean, he had a little bit of a dip that sophomore year, but basically got better and just improved in his game a lot each and every year. And I feel like you guys are all closer, as close as you can get to the Cincy area for a couple of you there. But he just feels like he kind of helped build Cincy to what they've been the last couple of years. Like Cincy isn't where they are without this guy and his leadership and his ability to just galvanize his team. Like I feel like he's this guy that, if he can figure out the nuances of the quarterback position, which is a big if, right? That's not I don't want to say that slightly. That's a big if. He feels like the guy that puts in the work, that goes about it the right way. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm comping too much to like
lunch pail guy,
comping too much to Cowboys, but like he feels like the Dak Prescott. If you can fix what Dak Prescott didn't do well coming out of Mississippi State, he's got all those other things that make him a winner. You put enough around him that first year, you build upon that, you get him that good OC. Like, I don't know. He's a really intriguing guy, especially if we're talking about where are we at here. We're at the 207. I can't imagine he's still here in most mocks. Let's see where he goes in the draft, right? But This is a spot where I have to take that shot over the wide receiver that I don't know is going to hit, or these running backs that I don't know they're going to get the draft capital. This is super flex and quarterbacks are king. I got to take that shot.
There you go.
That's obviously who the other guy was debating at.
Yeah,
over Watson.
Dwight, as someone who's kind of picked these quarterbacks and given us a lot of good information on them, what's kind of the feel for Ritter?
Yeah, the tools are there. I just don't think he was very consistent quite often. Like, there were times where they needed him to step up and make more big plays and push the ball downfield, and it was not really his game. It wasn't his MO to do that type of stuff. So I worry a little bit about him long term, but I mean, at this point, why not? I mean, shoot, he's got the arm, the mobility is fun, and he's just a good guy to root for too. So I mean, shoot, yeah, why not? So.
All right, Robbie, are we back to you here?
Ooh, we are back to me.
He wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready at all. So I'm gonna keep it going, because I think at this point, if you're trying to improve your team, and this guy gets the capital that I think he gets, I think he's going to be a second round quarterback. I'm gonna go Carson Strong. And again, when I say some of the guys that I've said, they're not the most popular because there's this narrative that they're not athletes, and Carson Strong isn't known for being an athlete, and I get that. Also coming off of major surgery, so I don't think what we saw exactly in his last year is exactly the stature that he will be. But he's definitely more Matt Ryan than the rushing quarterback. But we've seen those quarterbacks succeed, and it's just not the quarterback that we envision anymore. But I definitely think that he has, in my opinion, a better arm than Willis. I think I would argue he probably has the best arm in this class. Thanks, Dwight, for backing me up. I got a little nervous there.
Say it with your chest, Robbie. I mean, just say it, man.
Yeah, the untrained watch 2 games of all these guys. I say that. So, yeah, like obviously there's not that rushing ceiling that you want, or as you said, or it is the ceiling, right? So, but he does a lot of things really well. That if he's in a system that just lets him. It gives him the time, right? Because that's the thing. You need to be able to evade and create time in that pocket. You don't have to be a running quarterback, but Tom Brady, no one touches him because he evades in the pocket so well. If you can do something like that, I see no reason why Carson Strong can't be successful as the, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, those that I'm not going to wow you with my running, but I'm going to be able to do something, passing the ball all over the place.
And we've got to give Dwight the credit. I remember distinctly back when Dwight was cutting up videos left and right, doing his thing. I didn't know much about Carson Strong, and one of his early videos for a previous channel that he had, Carson Strong, Nevada. And I remember sitting there watching it one day while I was working, and I was like, okay, let's see what this is about. This would have been this was prior to this past season. Like, this would have been, I think, maybe his junior year or so. So Dwight, kudos to you. You were on Carson early.
Yeah, he can definitely push it downfield, man. He's not afraid to throw downfield. Really good release. I like a lot about him, but I worry about where he'll land. He'll be another one I wouldn't mind seeing if Pittsburgh passed on a quarterback, trying to get him maybe a little bit later. Another place I'd like to see him land. So that will conclude all the quarterbacks taken, or that you need to take in your rookie draft. So it's done. That's it.
Got to catch them all.
No mas. That's it. Cody?
There's 2 running backs here that I'm kind of fumbling between, and I'm not going to let an undersized, slow running back scare me away. And I also just want to thank Robbie for taking David Bell at the end of the first, so this pick won't seem as bad. But I'm going to take Kyron Williams at running back here. I mean, who knows what kind of draft capital he ends up getting, right? I still think that there's potentially a chance that he slides into like the back end of day 2. But the dude just has a lot of good tape at Notre Dame. And I think at the very least, in PPR leagues, he could be that pass catching running back. But if he goes mid day 3, this is obviously a nail in the coffin for him. But I like too much of what I saw. Like I said, I didn't think he was a blazer by any means, but I also didn't think that he was going to run as slow as he did at the combine, especially for his size. But at this point, I'm gonna stick to my guns. Like I said, Robby gave me some cover there for this pick. So thank you, Robby.
Have you guys seen a highly touted prospect pre-combine have the type of fall? And you can call it justified or unjustified, right? Because we're not just talking about maybe the athletic profile, but the size is what matters more to me, right? And people call the sizest in me, but we like our running backs to hit near that 200 threshold, and he kind of didn't come quite close to that. So I'm curious for you guys, have you guys seen that before? And if so, are you guys all the way out on Kyren? Because it sounds like Cody's not. He's a little bit farther down for me, but I'm still open to taking that shot on a guy that can pass block with the best of them and can pass catch with the best of them and doesn't fumble. You talk about what NFL coaches want to see. They want you to pass block, they want you to pass catch, and don't put the football on the ground. He does those 3 things. So I can see that draft capital potentially being there early 4th round, like we saw with Michael Carter.
Right. Same boat, Robby. Yep.
I think it'll be interesting to see how he's viewed now that we know, like, he's not necessarily a plus athlete, especially at his size, because
nice way to put that.
Yeah.
So you could probably take the word plus out of there.
Yeah, just because and just an example of this, and this is, you can call it cherry picking or whatever you like. And I was a big CEH fan because of what he showed us on the field and his elusivity. And you see a lot of that with Kyren. You see a lot of dynamism when he's running the ball and when he's catching the ball, and he does a lot for the offense. That Notre Dame offense really was something that he was a very, very much a key cog in. And if he's not a plus athlete, I'm just nervous that even though we saw a lot of awesome things from him then, what does that look like now that we're going to the next level? And so that's just a question that I have. And I say that he can or won't. I think his actual ability at the collegiate level is awesome. What does it look like on an NFL field? Is he being brought down by arm tackles at 199 pounds? What do those things look like? And I think that those are just questions as we enter this phase of the offseason. But his ability, I mean, awesome player, very good player, obviously. All right, I think it's me here at the 210, and I am going with. I feel like I have to. There's like 3 players I feel like I have to say something about today. If I'm in drafts, I'm probably going to try to keep my UK bias aside because I was ready to take this guy in the early second earlier in this process because I think he's that good. And he showed it in the one season that he was with the Wildcats. One Wan'Dale Robinson. Yeah, I'm just going to do it. We'll go Wan'Dale here. There's a couple of running backs that I'm probably also targeting in this area. But we'll go Wan'Dale. Did not love the fact that he came in at 5'8". That was disappointing. But again, his ability to be able to play at times bigger than his size, but also a lot of times where he plays really small. And he is tough over the middle. But in terms of catch radius and things of that nature, he's a great tracker of the football. Again, great elusivity. You get him out in the open field, and he is very dynamic. You can do a lot of different things with him. You see UK using him all over the field. So big Wan'Dale fan, and I think that he can flat out get done at the next level still. Very good athlete and someone that is a big play waiting to happen often. Can win at all levels. The question just becomes, there are a lot of questions. I don't want to list them all. I'll start second guessing my pick. I'm going to leave it there. Wan'Dale's my pick here at 210.
So going back to Cody, I remember you and I had the conversation on a couple of shows. Weren't concerned about was it Rondale being shorter than he was listed. and it's hard not to compare them, right? Given the height and given how they play the position. But are you now more on the point that maybe it's not the height, but it's how they can be utilized at the NFL level, and how they can get their points? Do you have concerns with Wan'Dale in that same way that you maybe didn't have as much with Rondale? Obviously, was made a much better athlete, or at least testing wise.
But that's the really unique thing is that Wan'Dale's at Nebraska. They're force feeding him carries and using him in a very limited capacity.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to UK. They're using him all over the field. He has very few carries. I think he had over 100 some odd carries at Nebraska. And if I recall, like he didn't have like 20 carries at Kentucky in this one season that he was there. Very limited on the carries. Showed well as a slot player on the outside, being able to do a lot of different things in that offense, and easily was the most dynamic player that Kentucky's had in the receiving game for maybe since Randall Cobb. If it wasn't for this season at Kentucky where he showed us, hey, I can do all of these things that you asked me to do. I can run short routes. I can get yards after the catch. I can make people miss and make big plays. I can win down the field. If he didn't have the season at Kentucky, then I'd probably be more worried. You like to think that if he lands in an area that allows him to be able to exhibit his skills, unlike what Rondale was able to do, unfortunately, under Cliff, where he was very pigeonholed in terms of how they were using him. You'd like to see that expanded. So we'll see how where he lands, how they're able to use him. But he's a phenomenal football player and adds yards after catch like crazy for an offense. So that's my spiel. I don't know if I directly answered your question or not, Robbie, but the year at Kentucky showed us and answered a lot more questions than what we had coming into the season.
For sure.
I think the real takeaway is the fact that all he needed was a Penn State quarterback to be throwing him the ball, and he ended up being good. Which, by the way, the fact that they weren't playing him over Sean Clifford is beyond. But anyway, before we get down that rabbit hole, the only other thing I want to say here is that I'm still not out on Rondale Moore, and that Cliff Kingsbury is a fraud.
True on all accounts.
I'm pretty sure, maybe fact check me on this, but I think Rondale Moore was the first wide receiver in NFL history to have a negative ADOT.
Could be. I'll consider it true. I heard it on the internet.
Dwight, looks like you've got the last two picks of the mock here. They're all yours.
All right, this one I'm going to do in honor of Cody's mustache. I'm going to take Pierre Strong, South Dakota State, baby. If there is a James Robinson, a Kareem Hunt in this draft, it is Pierre Strong. 5'11", 207, 4.37 40-yard dash, plus a 36 vert, 10'4" broad jump. I mean, he's got speed, burst. I mean, look at these stats in this year. I mean, I know it's South Dakota State, but come on. 1,600 yards for over 7 yards a carry, 18 touchdowns, 22 catches. I mean, he's got vision. He learns how to read it. He uses his blocks to set up like his second level. When he gets to the second level, I mean, he's just a smart running back. He just glides. I mean, he looks like he's just totally effortlessly effortless, whatever. And when you guys know what the hell I mean.
Hey, he gets me flustered too, Dwight. I completely understand.
It's easier than saying that fucking word. Anyways, he is kind of a straight line guy. He's not the most inconsistent when in space, or he is a little bit inconsistent in space, but I mean, he just does a lot of the things that you really love in a running back. He's got great size. I mean, he killed the combine. So I think he's a guy that could potentially do that, at the next level and be that James Robinson, Kareem Hunt, small school guy that kind of comes out of nowhere and does, kicks ass. So,
just insert when y'all get to editing this, just insert Jerome Ford's name so they don't really hear Pierre Strong, just so we can continue to keep him off of the radar. I want to just have him off the radar for people so people don't understand how good he is.
Pierre. And then for the final pick, I'll take it. I'll take the best tight end in the class, Trey McBride. He's just a guy that's 6'4", 250, good size. Very, very good pass catcher. Finds the spots in zones really well. He knows where to sit down. Great hands. He's a pretty darn good blocker at that. So he's pretty close to a complete tight end. Insanely productive. Got better every year at Colorado State at 1,000 yards this last season. And he's a wide receiver playing the tight end spot in the tight end spot. He's phenomenal. So he's probably the only tight end in this class you can really count on. So there's a lot of guys that could be productive. It could be, all our leagues pretty much are tight end premium these days, but Trey McBride's the only one I would draft with confidence.
Agree.
Wait, Cody, sorry.
No, I was just going to say I would like to go back in time, and since it seems like no one was going to take this running back, I would like to take Jerome Ford instead of Kyrie Williams. No, completely skipped over him on my sheet.
Let's run through honorable mentions real quick if we can. Just go around the horn real quick. One guy that you'd be excited about in the third round and beyond of rookie drafts. Robby, we'll start with you.
Oh, I mean, you threw me for a loop when you said one guy I'd be excited about. One guy that I feel like is a value here, and Kev brought him up, Zamir. That's a guy that, like he's saying in the chats, he mentioned that he's going to get second or third. Or he thinks he can get second or third round capital. I agree where the NFL is going to be higher on him than maybe some of our fantasy minds are, just because I think he does struggle to catch the ball, and so we see a 2-down back there. There's obviously an injury history there to the profile. But man, what he does well, he does really well. So you get that with an opportunity for a running back. That's all you need, man. And so I think that's a guy that we haven't talked about. And then Alec Pierce, wide receiver for Cincy, is the one I do want to talk about here. It's so difficult because all of these wide receivers are really talented, and so he just gets pushed so far down. But man, after backing up what you saw in tape with his combine, his pro day, his athleticism, he just does a lot of things really, really well, where I feel like he's going to be that third round, I'm going to take a shot on him wide receiver that can end up being productive for your fantasy team. So I really like him as a prospect, and he's all the way down here. Where are we at? Wide receiver 11 maybe, and we haven't said a couple other names that might jump in front of him. So really, really good X wide receiver that I think can get starting snaps quickly.
Cold man, honorable mention, anybody. Just throw it out there.
I'll throw out John Mechie here, someone who I think is kind of just being passed over. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe it's the injury. Maybe it's, Jameson Williams coming in from Ohio State and, just immediately jumping in and getting that production, not necessarily over him, but in line with him. Has the speed. He's going to be a slot receiver, but he's someone who I think people should be excited about, especially in the third round. Once you get around to these like dart throw guys, like I don't think there's necessarily anybody safe in the third round, except for maybe when it comes to Mechie in 2022.
Bill, listen, and Dwight, I meant to say Pierre Strong, they're definitely a favorite of Robby and mine as well. It'll be fun to the bidding war that will commence in Kamikaze for Pierre.
I know who I'm nominating first.
And Bar Tab and DD League. Like we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this Rojo dance again. Hopefully, we see some better results.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm gonna throw out Keontae Ingram, running back USC. Man, I really like Keontae Ingram's film. Huge fan. His film grade was rather high for me. I'm a fan. Bro, listen, Kevin, respectfully, I'm not a Tyler Beatty fan. Super productive. You love to see it. God bless him. Took up the throne for Roundtree after he left Missouri, but the sheer lack of creativity that he has as a runner, his inability to be strong unless he's got a long runway, very Derrick Henry-esque. In that Derrick Henry, oftentimes if you give him a runway, he's a problem. Beatty's the same way. If you give him the runway, he can do some things. Otherwise, in tight spaces as a creator, I don't like a lot of what he does. And a lot of his catches that he actually, when he flashed his hands, was a lot of stuff that was behind the line of scrimmage. You can't argue the production. You can't argue how productive he was. It was great. Those things were fine. But in terms of him as an actual prospect and player, not for me. And again, I say that respectfully as someone who's I'm just not in.
I respectfully shit on your player.
No, I'm saying he said the utter disrespect. And I'm telling you why I have him, why he's not mentioned.
I got you.
I'm sorry. Dwight, your honorable mention. I love you, Kev.
Yeah.
You know that.
Honorable mention. I mean, this kid was insanely productive early in his career, and he just kind of has fell down the ranks. It's David Bell. Oh, wait, he was taken in the first? Oh, shit. My bad. No. So, anyways. No, Dameon Pierce is another one that I really like a lot. I mean, he had a really good offseason. Really good at the Senior Bowl. Had a good combine. Really good size. 5'10", 215. That he's got that 3-down back size you want, and just never really got the chance to do it at Florida. So, if he's given a chance somewhere, he'll get to see if he can do it. So why not take a throw? Why not take a dart throw at somebody like Dameon Pierce at this point? So, I like him. Yeah, Mike is good. All right, you guys want to wrap it up?
What a terrific setup there, Dwight. Very, very well done. I did not see that coming, and that was a very apt way to end this 2-hour-long shenanigan here of version 2.0 of the TFA Superflex Rookie Mock. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us. Thank you to Dwight J. Mike and the Emmy Award winner himself, Carl Jr., for rocking with us as well and helping us out through this little exercise. Definitely going to have more mock drafts coming up. Obviously, we have the draft coming up as well. So appreciate all you guys. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like. J. Mike, thank you for grabbing the charger and trying to make it back in time.
Just in time.
Thank you for co-captaining the ship here tonight as well. Glad we were able to get you to do that and passing that off to you. So thank all you guys. Again, any questions, drop them in the comments, and we'll make sure that we get to them. Keep it locked in here, and we'll talk to you all very soon.